Hi, I'm Jim with Pour the Juice, and in this video, I'm excited. Got the Knob Creek 21. So this is going to be the full review and rating based on my 100-point rating system. But first, before I get into that, I do want to give a shout out to Dave, one of the subscribers, who helped me acquire this bottle. If it wasn't for Dave, I wouldn't be reviewing it right now. So thank you, Dave. And as you said, it's a fantastic bottle. So what I got here is my review ready to go. But first, I want to kind of talk about my scoring system in case this is your first time visiting my channel, visiting the videos I do. I grade whiskeys based on a 100-point scale. There's a few different criteria going into it, but out of that 100 points, flavor makes up 40 points. Flavor has 4 subcategories for me that make up that 40 points. It's equal 10 points each of pleasantness, intensity, finish, and viscosity. Then we have nose. Nose makes up 15 points with 2 subcategories. The subcategories are pleasantness, intensity. Value is 15 points for me. Complexity is 10 points. Balance is 10 points. And uniqueness is 10 points. So all those add up to 100. Typically the way I begin is by talking about value, and that's what I'm going to do here. Value to me has nothing to do with the juice inside the bottle. As far as the flavor of it is concerned, or the smell, or whatever it may be. It literally just has to do with the price per year, and also the proof, and if there's been any finishes or anything like that. Anything that would make sense to up the price point. So what we have with Knob Creek 21 is a 21-year age statement for $250 MSRP. And so for me, it costs more than the $10 per year mark. So that automatically drops it down a bit from average. So say average out of the 15 points is 7.5. It's going to come up a little bit shorter than that. As far as proof goes, 100 proof is my median there. So if it's more than 100 proof, it gets extra points. If it's less than 100 proof, it gets lower points. So this is staying right in the middle on that. And then there are no any crazy finishes. So what I'm giving it for value is a 6 out of 15. Like I said, 7.5 would be the halfway point. It's not an equal year per value ratio. So I took off 1.5 points for that. I think that's fair. The next one that I'm going to do is also a category that I don't have to taste the whiskey to figure out, and that's uniqueness. And what I mean by that is, how unique is this bottle for what's available on the market? So in this case, it's a 21-year bourbon that's fairly available. I mean, it's a limited whiskey, but it's fairly available. And it's at a 100 proof point. And to be honest with you, I don't know of any other American whiskeys that are 21 years old and on the market. At least that have that age statement of 21 years. I know there's whiskeys out there that have 21-year-old whiskey in it, but I believe this is the only one that is a 21-year age statement. So for me, that makes it a completely unique whiskey, and it earns the 10 points out of the 10 points. I don't know how you can get more unique than being one of a kind on the market. If there are any other 21-year-old whiskeys on the market that are at 100 proof, let me know in the comments. I could always be wrong. All right, now I'll start with nose. The nose on this thing is pretty wild. So if you watch these before, I talk about, for intensity on a nose, I say in order for it to hit 4 or 4.5 or 5 points, it really needs to fill up a room. The scent has to travel outside of the glass. And it just starts doing that with this Knob Creek 21. It's very, very fragrant, and it smells fantastic. But I'll get to that in a bit. For the intensity, I gave it 4 out of 5 points. That's the highest number for intensity that I've given so far in one of these rating scales. And it's not filling up an entire room, but while it's sitting here, even with this amount in the glass, I could still smell it. which is great. As far as pleasantness goes, I want to give some notes that I got. Tootsie Roll is immediate. And this is, so I've had this in the glass for over an hour now. Dave, who got me this bottle, traded me this bottle, let me know that I should let it open up quite a bit. And it would get even better than when I first opened it. So I thought, okay, let me give it a half hour or so. And so since then, I've been tasting this and going back to it and really trying to put in work to get these ratings right. And now it's been open for like an hour. But I still get the Tootsie Roll. I still get a little bit of nuttiness, a ton of oak, a ton of vanilla. Let's see if I get any fruit. I mean, I definitely get like cherries, and there's some stone fruit in there besides cherry. It's an incredible nose. I would live in this glass if I could. And because of that, I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10. I almost gave this a 10 out of 10. But I have smelled whiskeys that I enjoy smelling more than this one. And it's because I like more fruit on my whiskey. If it wasn't for that, if this had more fruit on it, if this had like a blueberry note or something, I would be giving this a 10 out of 10. But it's still so fantastic. There's so much chocolate coming off this. And so it gets a 9.5 out of 10. On to flavor. The lowest point on this for me is going to be the viscosity, and that's got to be because of the proof. Not that the viscosity is bad, but it certainly has some viscosity. Whew. But it's not at an elite level of viscosity. So I give it an 8. I also gave the finish an 8. I think it's a very, very good finish. It's not a great finish to me. I wish that the finish lasted longer. I wish some of the notes that peaked in this whiskey would last longer, because I'll go into intensity now. As soon as this whiskey hits your tongue, it hits you in waves. There's the initial wave of you're swirling around your mouth and you get that initial flavor. And then as soon as you swallow, it's like a burst on your tongue of really sweet candied oak. That's going to be my number one flavor note on this is candied oak. And I don't know if I've ever tasted candied oak before in a whiskey, but that's exactly what it is. If somebody made tree into a candy, it tastes like that. This whiskey also isn't drying at all. Like, it doesn't dry your mouth out, which is crazy. As you can tell, I really like it. So it goes from that kind of candied oak punch on the palate, and then you start getting all these other flavors of different types of soda. For me, at least, this is what I get. I get a hint of cola, and then it's vanillas and cherries mixed in with a cola, so it's kind of almost like a Dr. Pepper thing. And then it hits you with a little bit of a root beer type thing. And I couldn't narrow it down. Even, like, I got some cream soda on this as well, and that's probably from the vanilla too. But it's just everything that I'm looking for in a whiskey besides a ton of fruit. So intensity, because of that punch on the tongue, I do give it an 8.5 out of 10. If this was a higher proof, that it would elevate it to even higher numbers. But because it's 100 proof, I can't give intensity that much, although the flavor in this bottle is fantastic. But that's really more pleasantness. As far as pleasantness, all those notes I mentioned, cotton candy in this, really incredible. I gave this a 10 out of 10. I can't imagine enjoying the flavor of a whiskey more than I enjoy this one. And a lot of that is because of that candied oak note that I'm talking about. And all that, like cola and Dr. Pepper. This is exactly what I'm looking for, especially if I'm going to share a special whiskey with somebody. This is that whiskey. So total for flavor, it's going to be 34.5 points out of 40. All right, what else we got? We got to go down to complexity. Complexity, as you can probably tell, this is very complex whiskey. I'm getting all these different cola notes. I'm getting Tootsie Roll in the nose. I'm getting cotton candy as a following note. I'm getting, cherry, and there's some blackberry in here. It's very complex. 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10. Balance is another one that falters a little bit, but it falters in... Let me try to phrase this correctly. If this was a review for pretty much any other whiskey, this wouldn't be a falter. This would be just another mark on the page. But because this whiskey is so great, and there's so many great marks and so little low marks, that the 8 that I gave it for balance stands out. And the only reason it gets an 8 for balance is because there's a ton of oak. And it's lovely. I love the oak. But I wish the fruit could stand out as much as the oak. Some of those baking spices do get pushed into the background. Even the peanut, I do like some peanut off Jim Beam products. It's very little on this for me. Let me taste it again just to be sure I'm correct about that. I do get the peanut. All right, maybe I'm wrong about that. But I do wish those fruit notes came up a little bit more and expressed themselves as much as the oak and some of those other notes. And because of that, I'm giving it an 8 for balance. That leaves me with a total score of 82 out of 100. So this is the new number 1 for me. Of all the bottles whiskeys that I've done a full review on, and full rating scale. My last review was for the Knob Creek 12, and this wasn't planned. I did that review and then kind of walked into a trade after that. So I just figured, why not post these back to back? And so that was my last number 1. That was an 80 out of 100. And I'm sure there's some people out there like, hey, Jim, do you really think it's only a 2-point difference between these whiskeys? Knob Creek 12 is whatever it is, 65, 70 bucks. This is a $250 bottle. Is that how you see it? A 2-point difference? And my answer would be that if you had unlimited money, value wouldn't matter. And if value didn't matter, this would be a much bigger difference. If value didn't matter, this would be into the 90s. It's really incredible whiskey. Dave, thank you. This is probably going to be my favorite bottle that I've had this year. And I have another banger coming up too. But it's really one-of-a-kind whiskey. These are limited, supposedly. I hope they keep coming out with these, because I would love to try next year's as well. Yeah, my recommendation would be, if you have it in your budget, I would say go and buy one of these, or at least try it at a bar. It's really fantastic. And so the 80 levels for me, I always say you should have a backup. Luckily, that was part of the trade, a backup. So I actually do have an extra one for when I drink this one through, and I will be drinking this one through. That's how good this whiskey is. Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words a little bit. This is on the same level for me as like a George T. Stagg. And that's saying a lot. That's probably my favorite whiskey in the world whenever I have a George T. Stagg. And this is up there with it, in my opinion. I just wish it was a little bit higher in proof. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. Please subscribe. Like I said, I have a few more bangers on the way. I'm going to have a Thanksgiving special, I think, on Wednesday. And that's going to be in place of a regular Wifey Wednesday. And then Wifey Wednesday will be coming back. I'm not sure exactly when. I have some other plans for the month of December as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Cheers.